Hi everybody, this is Michelle from Mummy's Country Quilts. Today we are doing the first mug rug of our holiday mug rug collection, and that is the tree mug rug. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to cut this fabric out to get this project done. So in the kit, first of all, you're going to have your paper, which we're going to need to sew on to create the mug rug. You're going to have 2 pieces of background fabric. And then you're going to have your 5 strips of green fabrics for your tree and the brown for your trunk. So the first thing we're going to do is cut this white fabric. So the 1 strip is just an extra strip. We're going to just put that aside for now, but this one needs to be cut specifically in a certain way for the backing. So what we're going to do is first cut off the selvage. And then we're going to cut a 28-inch piece off of here. So I've got a 9.5-inch ruler, square ruler, so I'm going to add 18.5 inches. So I'm just lining up my ruler with the top edge of my fabric, make sure I'm nice and square here. And I've got 18.5 and 9.5 is 28. So I'm just going to put this aside. We're going to use this for the corners of our tree. So we'll just put that there. Okay, so that once we've cut our strip to 28 inches, we're going to subcut this down to 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to fold this in half. This ruler is 6 inches, so I have to add a 1/2 inch. So 6.5. So we're going to use this to piece the side of our tree. This piece we're going to now subcut into 3.5-inch pieces for the backing of our mug rug. I'm just going to cut 2 right now. But you need to go ahead and cut 8 pieces in total for your mug rugs because you need 2 per mug rug. So I'm just going to fold this and put it to the side. Put that here. So now we're going to get ready to start paper piecing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually cut our mug rug template out off of this paper. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm just using my add a quarter ruler here. I'm just adding about 1/4 inch past my outside line, and normally I would be cutting this paper with a paper cutter, which I don't have beside me here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my other cutter. Okay, so this is what you should have for piecing. We're just going to put this under here for now. So essentially what we need for paper piecing is the actual paper that we're sewing on. You should also have a cutter, an add a quarter ruler, and a fold template. So that's what you need for paper piecing, as well as a glue stick for the first piece. So if you have that, you're set to go. So the first piece is going to be your trunk, and if you look at your paper, you'll see that we have the sections all numbered. So this is section number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So we're going to go ahead and start with section 1. So this is just, if you've done paint by number, this is pretty much similar, the same. You're just going to be sewing by number. So you just do everything in numerical order. So we'll take the paper, we'll take our piece of brown, and I'm just going to put this on. So I'm putting the wrong side of my fabric to the wrong side of my paper. And what you want to make sure here is that you have about 1/4 of an inch past the top of your trunk for your seam allowance. So I'm just going to put that there, then I'm going to grab my glue stick, and I'm just going to glue right in the center of that trunk, and I'm just going to put that there so it doesn't move. Just eliminates the slippage. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this off of here so it's not hanging everywhere, and we'll use that for the next ones. So we're going to find the line between piece number 1 and piece number 2, and we're going to put our fold template on that, and we're going to fold the paper up against the template, put our add 1/4 ruler, and if it has a little lip so it just kind of locks right into there, and you're going to trim that off. So now we're going to add piece number 2, which is a background piece. So I'm going to grab this little piece that I had here, and I'm just going to put those 2 edges right together. Then I'm going to move to my sewing machine. And one of the things that we use for paper piecing is an open-toed foot. So it's just a foot that has nothing in front of the needle. This is also called an applique foot. You can also use a clear foot, anything that's not hindering your sight in front of your needle. So now we're just going to sew on the line that's between piece number 1 and piece number 2. And I'm starting to sew right off the edge of my paper. You can have a longer seam, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to sew just a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch past the line, the drawn line. Okay, so once you've sewn that, you're going to go to your iron, and you're just going to press that piece over. Okay, and I'm just going to leave that like that, and I'm just going to cut this right up against my paper, and then I'm going to use this other side because it has a straight cut. But first I'm going to trim, so I'm going to take my fold template. Again, I'm going between 1 and 3 because 3 is my next piece. I'm going to fold up against the fold template and trim that to 1/4 of an inch. Then I'll grab this and line up those 2 edges again. Go to my machine. Flip your paper open. And again, I'm starting about 1/4 of an inch above my line. And I'm just sewing right off my paper. And then you press again. And again, I'm just going to trim this piece off. I'm just going to put that there. So now we're into piece number 4, and that's part of the tree. So when you set up your fabrics for the tree, make sure you set them up in the order that we're going to be sewing them. So we're starting to sew the bottom of the tree first. So I lined up my greens in the order that I want to sew them up to the top. So my first piece is going to be the dark green. And I've gone ahead and I've just cut my strips in half because I've used these already to create another mug rug, just so there's less, you don't have such long tails to deal with. I just cut my strips in half. So I'm just going to use this part here, which I've used once already. and we're going to put that on piece number 4. So again, you're going to grab your fold template, and now we're putting our template between piece number 3 and 4. And you're going to fold this over. And you can see this is stuck to my paper. You just grab that and just rip it off. Just nice and quick. So then you'll take this and you're going to just put it on, line it up with the long edge of your green strip. And you'll notice that I'm putting right sides together, just like you normally would for quilting. Open your paper. And again, I'm starting above my line. I'm going to bring this over here and press again. So now we're trimming on the line between 4 and 5. So you're folding over again and just rip that piece off. Grab your ruler and trim. And now we're adding a white piece. So I'm just going to grab this strip again. And I'm just going to use this end. So you're just going to keep doing this until you finish the whole tree. And I'm just going to put this aside. I have finished a tree already to almost done, so I'm going to just pull that out. So I'm up to here with this tree, so I'm just going to add my corners. So you're going to use these bigger pieces that we had left for your corners. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold this on line number 22. And I got this right side up. And I'm just going to line this up. Press this over. And I'm just going to trim that. And then we're going to trim on our last line, which is the line beside the section number 23. Add a quarter ruler. And then we're going to so I'm going to use this section up here. And I'm just making sure, so the piece that's folded down should be on top of your fabric. So if I just put my finger here, I see that I have fabric left over, which is what I want. I'm just going to do a quick trim here, just to get rid of this piece. So here we have our piece is pieced. So now what we're going to do is we're going to trim around the outside edge of our piece. So what you want to make sure here is that you're trimming on the very outside line. Don't cut on the inside line because you'll be cutting off your seam allowance. So you just take a straight edge ruler and you're just going to cut the outside. And there's the top to our mug rug. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the backing. I'm just going to clean this up here. Okay, so the two pieces that we cut at 6.5 by 3.5, you're going to sew. You're going to put right sides together and sew them together. So what we've done is we're turning this. So we don't like that bumpy edge that happens when you turn where that opening is where we're turning. So what we've done is we've cut our backing in two pieces, and we're going to have the opening in the center of our mug rug, so that you don't have, if you look at this one, our edges are all nice and straight all the way around. You can't tell where we've turned it because we've turned it right here. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to sew, and instead of sewing and stopping and jumping to leave an opening, we're just going to do a seam all the way through, but we're going to back stitch at 2 spots so that we can rip between those 2 spots to open it to so that we can turn our project. All right, so what you can do is just take a ruler. This is 6.5 inches. So you can just mark so if we do, let's see, mark at the 2 here, and we'll mark 2 here. So I'm going to back stitch at those 2 little spots. Need your 1/4 inch foot. You can see here that I'm just stopping at those 2 marks, back stitching, and then going through the end. So instead of pressing this to the side, you're going to press this open. So that's the backing. This is the front. Now before we can actually sew the backing onto this piece, we have to take the paper off. So, and I'm not going to do that on screen here. So I'm just going to show you what to do. So you'll just rip these papers off. And the way that we do this is I start somewhere where there's no seam, bring it to your seam, and then just rip out to the sides. Like that. And for these smaller pieces in here, you can just use a pair of tweezers, works really well. or just something sharp like an awl or that Harrod tool. But once you've started, these will come off quite easily. You just pull them off like that. So you're just going to keep doing that until the paper is all off. And then you're going to put your backing right sides together with your top. You're going to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. And then you're going to clip your corners, and then you're going to turn it. Now before you turn it, you're going to have to open this up, and you just need to take a seam ripper and just rip in between those two marks that you've back stitched, flip it, press it, and then you're just going to hand stitch the backing together, the two, like you're opening together. Alright, so now that we've turned our project and we've got one of these cute little mug rugs finished, we now have enough fabric to do 3 more in the kit. And what you're going to do now with your last strip of the white fabric in your kit is, instead of working with this big strip to do these tiny little pieces, what we suggest is that you just cut your strip in 1.5 inch strips to piece the sides of your mug rug. So just, and I would just cut a few at a time, so just across your 6.5 inch or your 8 inch width, you just cut 1.5 inch pieces as you need them to finish your 3 mug rugs, and then leave a big chunk at the end so that you can finish your bigger pieces for the corners. And that will result in a Christmas tree mug rug. And that's our class. Thanks for watching.